Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin', Fantasy Champions? Rick literally didn't put his microphone on. I mean, not his microphone, his headset on until like pre-show, and now it's like stuck underneath my feet.
It's under your chair.
What's poppin', friends? My name's Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always.
What's going on?
We're back. We're back at you for another week of content. I believe if we peg this right, I'm gonna open up my trusty calendar on my MacBook. We have.
When's the NFL draft?
The 29th. So we have
About
16 days.
But yeah, about 3 weeks. 2 weeks. Oh, wait. What?
15th to the 29th is 2 weeks, bro. So that's
Oh, yeah.
15 days. Anyway, so we're very close to the NFL draft. And this week we're going to do a rookie mock draft, not on this episode. We're going to do a must draft wide receivers on this episode, but we got a mock draft. Then next week we're going to talk more about rookies, I believe, and then rookies until the end of the century.
It's just that time of the year.
Probably through May.
Maybe.
I have like 400 like draft analysis shows planned in my head.
Really?
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we're going to be doing.
I'm kind of excited. So anyway, as we prepare for the NFL draft, we're going to give you some must-draft second-year wide receivers like we did the second-year running backs. We're going to go through a bunch of wide receivers. I feel like this list is going to be a little bit more. There's going to be guys in this list that aren't must-drafts. And there are going to be guys in this list that are sleepers next year that could be really good, could be really bad.
A couple of sleepers, I think.
Go
ahead.
But that aren't guys that are going to be must drafts, but are guys that we're going to recommend. You
essentially what I was going to say. Yeah. I mean, there's a few guys that probably won't be must drafts, but might be like, oh, keep an eye on them.
You can pick them up in the late rounds. Some of them are going to be like late round picks, but
yeah.
Anyway, so we'll do that. Before we jump into that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on any social media platforms. Just type our name, the FF Champs, in, and you should be good to find us. And then if you're listening on any podcasting platform, subscribe, leave a review, share it with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the sub button. Smash it. We're almost at 250. So if we're at 250 by the time this show launches, then congratulations to us. I was like, I didn't have an applause thing, and I looked down. I'm like, oh, I have an applause button.
Yeah. If we're at 250, though, just let's try to get to 300.
Yeah. 300 is the next goal. So subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like and comment down below. Any questions?
Subscribe.
Yep.
We know you watch. Come on.
Easy money. So let's jump into our second year wide receivers. This is going to be an in-depth breakdown. We have 16 wide receivers.
We probably won't.
We will not talk about all of them. But there's some guys that I find very interesting in here, and we're going to start off with probably my favorite wide receiver from the last class.
Okay.
Was CeeDee Lamb. And CeeDee Lamb was a
stud.
He was a stud this year, but
yeah.
It went under the radar, and also he didn't have Dak for 90% of the season. So I did want to go through the weeks 1 through 6, which you already have queued up in terms of statistics for the whole season. So why don't you go through that, and I'll go through what he had for fantasy numbers in those first 6 weeks.
CeeDee Lamb was a beast last year. There's a lot of people who look at the overall year, look at his total drops, and say, yeah, he was good, but he wasn't great. Wasn't what I wanted him to be. With Dak, in those first 6 weeks, actually, it was first 5 weeks, so I have to fix that. Because Dak did not play.
Should I fix it on or what?
In the first 5 weeks, because Dak got injured in the game against the Giants. Was it the Giants, or did he get injured the week before that?
No idea. Just continue.
We probably should have done that beforehand. It was. Let's assume it was the Giants game.
Dak broke his leg week 5 or 6.
I think it was the Giants game, but I'm not sure. So let's assume it's the Giants game. Prorated his first 5 weeks. Yeah, he had 120. If you prorated it through a 16-game season, he would have had 128 targets, 93 receptions, 1,386 yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. That is a monster season. I mean, as an NFL rookie.
As a rookie in the NFL.
It's insane. He was clearly, early on, the second guy, at least, behind Cooper.
Which a lot of people, that's kind of intriguing because a lot of people, including myself, thought it was going to be Michael Gallup, who he disappeared into the distance.
Right away, he was ahead of Michael Gallup in the depth chart. and Dak clearly favored him over Michael Gallup. I think this year that's only going to improve. It's his second year in the league, so his second year in that offense.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be him and Cooper neck and neck. And to be honest with you, I think there's a chance CeeDee Lamb could even get more targets than Amari Cooper. It's a hot take, I know, but I'm a big CeeDee Lamb guy and not as big with Amari Cooper. So
yeah,
and I just think Amari Cooper's contract too. Does it end in next year? I believe.
I think they re-signed him to a.
I'm gonna look that up because I remember seeing something with his contract situation. But either way, I think it's gonna be at least close between those two. Like I think it's gonna be neck and neck with those guys in that offense, and an offense that throws the ball a gazillion times.
The only, I guess for me, and we got to get to the question at hand, which is he a must draft? But the only thing that I have a big concern with CeeDee Lamb is that Amari Cooper, he has this big contract, 5-year, $100 million. Is that what it says?
Yes, but
can he terminate in 2022? Is that? No, it's
potential out in 2022.
Okay, all right. So anyway, with Amari Cooper and his contract situation, I would think, and the fact that I think Dak is more comfortable
for a while, but yeah,
with him in the red zone, I would suggest that Amari Cooper is going to get more red zone targets than CeeDee Lamb.
Yes,
which would limit his opportunity. Like he scored 5 touchdowns last year, so I think there's a chance he scores 6, 7, 8 touchdowns, which is good enough for what you need for fantasy.
He did drop. I remember one wide open touchdown when Andy Dalton was the quarterback. So
way to go. But like DK Metcalf's off the helmet drop.
Yeah, it was a bad one.
Everyone will talk about CeeDee Lamb dropping passes, and then they forget about DK Metcalf because he chased down a wide receiver on an interception. I mean, a cornerback on an interception. But anyway, yeah, for CeeDee Lamb right now, his ADP is 412, which is a 4th round pick. Now that is spicy high. At least for me right now. That's in a 12 team.
So CeeDee Lamb?
That's 12 team non PPR. Let's go to PPR and just straighten this out. CeeDee Lamb is 411, so it's kind of the same spot.
Ahead of Robert Woods.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he's very, very, very high at this point. He had last year number 35 in the league, 11 red zone targets, caught 5 of them. Probably one of those was a drop, i.e. Rick's statement. He averaged 13 fantasy points per game in PPR and had 6 total touchdowns. I believe he had 1 rushing touchdown. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
His true catch rate was 85%. So and it was 67.9% with Andy Dalton as a garbage can quarterback for most of the year. 79% of his targets were catchable on his 87 targets. Now, here's the big thing for CeeDee Lamb that's kind of exciting. You said, what was his pace numbers? Well, 128 targets?
Yep.
Which is pretty good. That's good numbers. If you take his 66, 67% catch rate, which will most likely happen next year, right? And you say he gets 125 targets in that offense, which is, that's a very easy number to reach for him, I think, in that offense where they throw like a million times.
Again, as a rookie, he was paced out.
So if he catches 66% of his passes again, he's at 82 catches on the season. You multiply that by his 12 yards per reception, and he gets 990 yards. He scores 6 or 7 touchdowns. He's right up there in the mid to high end wide receiver 2 conversation.
Yep.
And so the question is he valuable enough in that 4th round, where if he ends up being a wide receiver 2, are you going to be like, oh my God, I just completely got shot in the face and I'm not doing good anymore? Or are you going to feel good about him finishing as a high end wide receiver 2?
No, I'd feel fine about it. I don't know if he's going to end up in the 4th round. That still feels high to me. And I think once some hype for some other guys kicks in, it might.
So he's going as a wide receiver 18. So he'll easily outplay that.
I think that's I mean, well, I don't know about easily. I think he will because I'm so high on CeeDee Lamb. But I mean, Amari Cooper is still there, and as much as I just talked up CeeDee Lamb and saying that he's going to be about even, in my opinion, Amari Cooper. Right. Chances are Amari Cooper might get a little more work than him, but it'll be close in my opinion. And I could see CeeDee Lamb reaching Amari Cooper's level, but he's still
fair.
there.
It's fair in an offense where
they throw the ball.
Dak Prescott throws it a million times. Yeah.
Yep.
And the fact that you still have Mike McCarthy there who likes to throw the ball 600 times.
Now, does it hurt if they
It was like an anomaly last year. It's just how they run their offense.
I don't want to stay on CeeDee Lamb all day, but does it hurt if they draft Kyle Pitts? Like there's rumors about.
I don't think they're going to draft Kyle Pitts.
I hope not.
I don't think Kyle Pitts is going to be there, to be honest with you. That's pick 10.
Yeah.
What the hell are they doing trading up for Kyle Pitts?
I don't understand it at all.
I love this comp, Jerry Rice for Lamb on player profile. That's a little spicy.
Insane.
But anyway, yeah, I think CeeDee Lamb is a very good bet to be one of the top receivers in the NFL, at least in the next couple of years. He's I think over those 6 weeks that you were just talking about, he was the wide receiver 11 over the 6 weeks. Yeah.
Oh, sheesh.
In half PPR, he had 81 fantasy points and he was the wide receiver 11. So I think, this guy could easily...
He's going to be a top 15 fantasy receiver.
Easily be. And like you said, what was his catch rate over the course of those 6 games that you had there?
Oh, flip. Now I got to do it again.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, and your computer froze. You want me to do it? I could easily do it myself.
You can do it.
It's so funny because I just made you do it when I could have done it. So anyway, yeah, over those first 6 weeks, like I was saying, he started all those games.
5 weeks, bro.
And I just based it off the 6 weeks, 70% catch rate. So I mean, if the guy gets 136 targets,
and by the way,
100 catches, I'm okay with that.
You added the extra week, and in that extra week, he had Andy Dalton had a 63% catch rate, so it's probably actually higher than 7% with Dak.
All right, let's just do it with Dak. Are you sure he got hurt that week?
Yes, I think so.
It was 72 with Dak. So yeah, that's higher, a little bit higher. Wow. Okay, I'm excited about seeing him.
Yeah, dude,
just a little bit.
I've been excited.
Must draft.
Must draft.
Yeah, must draft. I agree. So put him on your must draft list, my friends. Even if it's a little high for me, but I think he's good. Justin Jefferson is a interesting player. As we jump into him, he is.
Dak did get hurt that week.
Week 6 or 5?
Week 5.
Okay,
it's the Giants.
So Justin Jefferson had probably one of the best rookie seasons in fantasy football that we have ever seen.
Maybe the best.
He would finish number 6 through 17 weeks, 230 fantasy points. Julian Edelman just retired from the NFL. It is official.
Okay,
so the Patriots cut him, and
that's what I mean. That's what Schefter when they cut him. That's essentially what
good career for Jules. Hall of Famer
should be. I mean, he won Super Bowl MVP.
Okay,
has a good resume.
Anyway, so Justin Jefferson finishing 6th this year. To me that's insane for a rookie. Like I always preach not to draft rookies, and there's always an outlier every 10 years.
Yep, and this is
so this happened to be the outlier. And you remember, Rick, on this podcast, we talked several times about how Justin Jefferson was going to be
year one.
Yeah.
We were a huge
fantasy option.
And then I still in Dynasty that the next week I remember I recorded a podcast with you. Yeah. Said Justin Jefferson is going to be the best rookie receiver year 1.
Yeah.
Had a chance to draft him in Dynasty. I'm like, but I like Judy long term.
And you took Judy.
And I took Judy.
You idiot. Sometimes
yeah.
It's kind of weird, though, because he was a slot receiver at LSU, and everyone kind of was like, what the crap are they doing bringing in Justin Jefferson when they have Adam Thielen as a slot receiver already? I was kind of confused about how that would work out.
I was too, yeah.
But the big thing you have to look at with these players, in post-NFL draft, me and Rick are going to do an analysis on these wide receivers that got drafted in the situations that they're in. Because no one else that they add to their roster unless Odell or somebody that's on the market right now, wide receiver, is going to get traded to a team. The wide receivers are going to be pretty much set in stone there, and we'll know if they're the first or the second guy in the offense. This is why we like CeeDee Lamb. We didn't think CeeDee Lamb was going to have an amazing season last year,
right?
Because he's going to be a third wide receiver, maybe fourth option in the offense. And if that's the case, you're just talking about having a hard time getting target share and not having success in fantasy. Now, obviously, he ended up the second guy in the offense, and talent beats out Michael Gallup, I guess. Gallup was like a second-round pick, too. So
Michael Gallup's not a bad player.
No, but anyway, so Justin Jefferson ended up being in this offense with basically Adam Thielen and nobody else. And and he was just the second guy. So he went out, he had 120, I think it was 120 targets last year. 125,
yeah. He actually had a similar season to what CeeDee Lamb was kind of paced out to be through those first 5
except
weeks.
he actually did it for the full season. He had 1,490 air yards, which was 7th in the NFL, which is insane for a rookie. Averaged 16 points per game. And he did all the amazing thing about what Justin Jefferson did is he did all of this with just that 125 targets. He caught 1,400 receiving yards.
Yeah.
So all of his fantasy points to put him in the top 6 were not like how many touchdowns did Thielen have last year?
I don't think it was a ton. Actually, it might have been.
Because he was I think he was the red zone target.
I think it was more than Jefferson.
You pull it up so I don't.
Adam Thielen last year had he had 14 touchdowns.
So if Justin Jefferson gets 1,400 receiving yards and gets up past 10 touchdowns, he could easily be a top 5 wide receiver. Now, I'll say this because Rick, I want to have time to talk about more receivers than just Justin Jefferson and Jerry Judy. Otherwise, Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. But anyway, I'll say this: I am concerned that the efficiency that was there last year, the 15.9, 16 yards per reception that he had.
Yep.
And the 1,400 yards is going to be something that he can repeat next year because of how much they run the football, how little Kirk Cousins throws the football, and can we say it's a lock that Justin Jefferson gets 125 targets again? Is that like an absolute lock?
I think so.
Okay. Because I'm
not
saying they're going to take targets away from him. I'm just saying they might throw less.
Yeah. No, I think that's possible. But after the year he just had, he's going to be the vocal point of the offense. I think at least throwing the ball.
Yep.
And let's say he gets 115.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. Yeah, at that point, yeah, you might be right. I think there's a chance if he gets 125 that he might not be as efficient. Mm-hmm. What if he doesn't get 16 yards a catch? What if he doesn't get the 1,400 yards? Now, granted, 7 touchdowns, that might go up if.
And I don't think Justin Jefferson's going to be a bust either.
No.
Definitely not. Like I bought him in every dynasty league I humanly can at this point. So, it's one of those things where. Like I look at Justin Jefferson and I see like this massive amount of potential, and if he does get 125 targets again, and he increases, what was his catch rate last year? 70%.
Yep.
He sticks right around that, gets the same amount of air yards. I mean, he'll end up being really good. The problem is there is risk tied with Justin Jefferson, and like we just said, if his target share does increase slightly purely because the stupid team doesn't like to throw the football nearly ever.
Where he's going, though.
And where he's going, 310. So he's going as like I think the 10th or 11th wide receiver off the board. Actually, that might be a little bit lower. Let me count.
That is lower. I was expecting him to go second round. So the fact that he currently is going 310, I mean, there's a lot of time.
He's going off the board as the 11th wide receiver.
A lot of time, but I would gladly take him there.
Yeah, I would. I actually would too.
310,
I'd be pumped on that. I would be very, very, very excited, especially with my strategy of drafting 400 running backs early.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Must draft, I would say.
Absolutely.
At this point, he's a must draft. I did the same thing. I'm not gonna last year. See, if you go back and watch last year when I was talking about AJ Brown, his ability to have this ridiculous yards per reception, I'm not gonna use that against Justin Jefferson. So, hell, if he has 150 targets this year, he might be wide receiver 2 or 3.
Oh gosh.
So I think he's a steal. Like I honestly, you think he's gonna go up from there before we move on to the next guy? Yeah, I agree. Okay. So let's move on to Jerry Judy. A little bit more of a disappointing player. It's you can blame it on Mr. what the frick is his name, Drew Lock, or you can blame it on Jerry Judy not being good, or you can blame it on a lot of things. But I actually think when you look at some of the sample size of Jerry Judy's games and you watch him on film, he has that route running potential in the pro game. It wasn't him. Whereas other guys that we're going to talk about this, it was him not being able to.
There is one, and I'm a big Jerry Judy guy. You know that. But there is one thing that if he doesn't fix, he's going to have issues in the NFL. That we'll talk about, but I don't know if you want me to just say it now.
I was going to run through his numbers.
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
last year, there's a lot to look at for Jerry Judy and be impressed, even though he did not finish that high in fantasy points. So remember how we just talked about Justin Jefferson being 7th in air yards?
Yep.
Jerry Judy was 6th, 1,536
Oh,
air yards. So
look
if
at
you're
that.
an air yard junkie, there you go. He had 113 targets, and then I believe he only caught 52 of those.
Yeah.
So he had, and I want to see the real number that's going to, it's like a 62% catchable target rate. So he only had 71 catchable targets last year, which is disgusting.
Yeah, so that sounds like it's on
46% catch rate. You know what? I'll say this. There's only places to go up for Jerry Judy at this point because 46% is awful. His true catch rate, 73%. So you want where his true catch rate is, you want to see him at 70%. Or you want to see his true catch rate right around 85 instead of 73. But it's still too early to tell with Jerry Judy in terms of how many drops did he have, by the way?
That's what my problem is.
Okay, 8 drops, 7th in the league. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's being generous. There were plays I watched Broncos games this year, unfortunately, and there were games where they
for what?
Fantasy purposes, gambling. There was games though where it was a drop pass, and then they would like have it listed as like an uncatchable.
Yeah,
like they didn't list it as a drop, but it was a drop pass. Like they could have easily gave him another like 3 or 4 drops in the year. That's just way too much. I mean, even 8 is being kind, and 8 is too much.
Yeah.
Right. So
right.
that I do think he needs to improve on that, and it's not even that. It was like Drew Lock would put it right on him. Like easiest, it wasn't like he had to reach, he had to go up,
and he would
like right on him, and he would just drop it. It was like the weirdest thing that you would see from
lead the league in drops like Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, but he was close. He was close,
right?
So that is gonna have to improve at not the next level, but throughout his development,
right?
And hopefully we see that next year that there's less drops from him. But let me tell you, dude, as a route runner, he might already be one of the like top 10 route runners in the league. There are some routes, the game against the Falcons, where he did that stop. He went he put his hand up and just stopped immediately, and the corner went flying 10 feet into the end zone.
Everything about it.
I think
the hand up in the air like he was going deep, the dead stop.
Oh yeah, and then there's a game against Carolina where he ran a filthy route too.
Yeah.
That turned into a touchdown.
He's probably one of the best route runners in the league. There's Matt Harmon of Yahoo Sports in the Fantasy Footballers Draft Guide does the reception perception, and that draft guide, I don't know when it launches, but I like to diversify my opinions, so you can buy our stuff, you can buy their stuff, anyone. Just get as many opinions as you can to make your own decisions. But anyway, Matt Harmon, reception perception, and I'm excited to see what he has on the docket for Jerry Judy in terms of his route running ability and stuff like that. But the fact that he had 113 targets year one and 1,500 air yards, he was number 7th in deep targets. Like he was getting open, and they were throwing the ball in his direction. And his yards per reception, I believe, was 16.5. So if let's say the roles were reversed here, let's say that Justin Jefferson went to Denver and Jerry Judy went to Minnesota. Does Jerry Judy have the Justin Jefferson season?
I think it's very similar. I don't know if it's going to be as good because he drops the ball more than Jefferson does.
I mean, he had 8 drops, so...
Yeah, but, you drop a ball, quarterback trusts you less. You drop 2 balls in a row.
True. Not Drew Lock, though.
Well...
just keeps going there.
Didn't really have a choice.
Go to the empty well. That's true.
Problems with Jerry Judy. Again, I love Jerry Judy. He is a player that I loved in college.
Yeah.
I love his route running, all this stuff. But another problem is Cortland Sutton's coming back. How good is Cortland Sutton going to be compared to Judy? How many targets he's going to take away? Mm-hmm. Are the Broncos going to throw enough so that KJ Hamler, Jerry Judy, Cortland Sutton all eat? And I'm not too worried about KJ Hamler because I think Judy will have a lot more targets than him. But man, it's going to be interesting to see that offense. And is Drew Lock the long-term answer? What's there? Is it?
Yeah.
Do they want to get Trey Lance, Fields, or Mac Jones as a quarterback in the draft? Do they wait next year, see what's available? Like, I don't think Drew Lock
tank and draft Sam Howell.
Unless Drew Lock has a massive like a Josh Allen type of rebound season, he's not
definitely for me not a must draft. I would say keep him off your must draft list. I will not be drafting Jerry Judy as like I need to have this guy on my team, like I was on. I saw Bill Belichick just released a statement about Julian Edelman, and I kind of don't want to read it.
Okay.
Anyway, so
he's gonna be way down there.
Yeah, he's probably gonna be way down there. But anyway, so for me, I think there's other options out there. But if Judy's an 8th round pick right now, so I don't even know that I want that in the 8th round. I mean, the guys around him: Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry, Marquise Brown, Antonio Brown.
No one really good.
I know. I mean, like maybe Marquise Brown,
Levisque Chanel. I would rather.
Yeah. So there's guys, but like if you're in the like Brandon Cooks is also in that vicinity, and he's the only receiver left in Houston.
Yeah, we'll see how the quarterback situation plays out.
But for me, like I think with Jerry Judy, he's too high. First off, and you said Cortland Sutton's coming back. And he had problems with his efficiency last year in terms of he had the target share, he had the air yards. That's why I'm not a huge fan of the air yard stat. I like looking at it when the player's good, but when the player's just not playing well, like 46% catch rate. Some of that is on the quarterback. Some of that is on you.
Yep.
And so you can blame it all on the quarterback with the catchable target rate and say the Drew Lock blows because he does. Terrible.
Which is
You got one season without Drew Lock, Jerry Judy. If they draft a quarterback or bring somebody else in, you got one season to figure it out. If you're still at 50% catch rate, man, I don't know. You're just not going to be a good NFL wide receiver. But great route runner. He runs routes well enough. That's half the battle is running good routes to get open and have the quarterback throw you the football.
Yeah.
So we'll see with Jerry Judy, but definitely not a must draft. The next guy, Henry Ruggs. I don't want to spend a million hours on every single one of these guys.
Sure,
but Ruggs was the opposite. He was bad and he didn't have good route running. So I was talking to Rick the last couple of weeks, and I still believe in Henry Ruggs. I still think he's a good wide receiver. He has obviously he was 100th percentile in his class. Speed, 40-yard dash, so at 4.27. He's one of the fastest guys in the NFL.
I think only John Ross and Tyreek Hill had faster 40 times.
Yeah, so he's insanely fast. He only had 43 targets last year. I want to go back to some of the advanced analytics. So he had an 81% catchable target rate. His catch rate was 60%. His true catch rate 74%, so right around that same true catch rate as Jerry Judy, which isn't that great. Out of his 43 targets, he caught 26 passes. So he really didn't have too many opportunities in that Raiders offense. He had 14 deep targets and 748 air yards, and he had half the air yards in like 43 targets. So if you give him 123, he's up there with Judy and the rest of them. But yeah, he just didn't get the target share. Does he get the target share this year?
I'm not sure. But what I'll say about Henry Ruggs, I think there's a lot of people in the fantasy community and dynasty community that at the time did not like Henry Ruggs in their pre-draft rankings. And I'm not going to say we were even crazy about him. I think I had him ranked 4th going into that draft. So, but I'm about to defend him because I think a lot of people did not think highly of Ruggs. They thought he was a one-trick pony. You're just drafted. He's the next John Ross, all this stuff. Raiders took him at 12, right? And then a lot of people in the fans community was like, he's going to stink. This is an awful pick. Watch, he's going to stink. He does not have a good rookie season statistically, and that's it. It's the end. People are like, see, look, he blows. And that people have just given up on him completely. I don't think that's fair. John Gruden historically has not been great with rookie wide receivers. I mean, and I don't know if we'll talk about Bryan Edwards, but you can make the argument with him as well.
Yeah.
So I do think they'll use him a little more.
He's not even on the list for average draft position.
Yeah. I mean, how much they're going to use him, I don't know, because the way John Gruden seems to want to use him is just as a decoy, like literally run straight.
Yeah.
And just
I mean, there are some good things on the stat sheet and the minimum amount of opportunity that he got. The fact that he had 17.4 yards per reception. That's pretty good. If you extrapolate that into a full target share, I mean, that's insane. Like he could easily put up 1,400 yards in a season, but it's just a question of, do they get him more involved? Was this, like Rick said, was this John Gruden just using him as a decoy?
Yeah.
Or was this just simply Derek Carr not feeling comfortable throwing it to Henry Ruggs yet and him just adjusting to the game? Because
he really wasn't bad in when he got
a lot of
work.
people when they look at like quarterbacks, for example, coming out of college, right? They usually have, you could say they have marginal success year one. And they do, if you're good year one, you usually have some fantasy output. You know what I mean? Taking Justin Herbert out of the throwing him out the window because he was an outlier. But you usually, Joe Burrow had a couple of really good fantasy weeks, and he was just streamable option. And so
even Tua had like a few 30-point weeks.
Right. Quarterbacks have good fantasy output most of the time in year one, and then tight ends are just god awful. Just throw them in a box and never have success year one. I can't remember who the one guy who had success year one the last 15 years. I think it was Gronk, maybe.
No, it wasn't even Gronk.
Yeah, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So the running back position, always those guys. They have between year 1 and 6, they have that amount of time to have success, and then it's over. But for the wide receiver position, sometimes it takes 2.
You can be
sometimes
patient.
It takes 3 years. Sometimes it takes 4 years. So for Ruggs, we didn't even see, he was the number 12 overall pick in the NFL draft last year. He had 43 targets. We cannot look at this season and go, this is a bust for Henry Ruggs because he had 43 targets. Now, the tape people can slide into the comments and say I'm an idiot because I don't watch him on film. And I know he's not the best runner on tape.
He wasn't bad,
he runs
though.
Straight.
Like, it's not like he's...
He runs straight very quickly.
For what they ask him to do, he did his role.
Yep.
So, like, I don't understand that narrative. I think there's just a lot of people that really just didn't like him,
right,
and are just taking it out on it. Like,
he's got to take a big step this year if he's going to do that. Now, question: he's not a must draft, but would you take him round 15, 14, as an option for this year?
Yeah, maybe. I'd see who else is available. Yeah, I mean, there's guys on this list.
That's my tight end area. So
there's guys on this list I would rather have that might be in that area. So
yeah. So I would say, if anything, keep an eye on him early in the season because there really is, unless they draft a wide receiver, there really is no one else there in Oakland. Or Las Vegas. Is that
they didn't add a receiver.
Freaking said Oakland.
I know they were interested in.
They haven't added a receiver.
They let Aguilar go.
If they get a guy in the NFL draft, that changes a lot of things. So
it might, but at the same time, I mean, how early? Because if they do, they might go through the same process.
We were going through PFF, and. We were going through PF. Well, see, this is the problem. They use Henry Ruggs as a decoy. So if they go out and they get a Bateman, or if they go out and they get one of those first round wide receivers that aren't going in the top 10, is it going to end up? Now, I think it's dumb for them back to back.
What if they end up? What if Gruden puts them in the doghouse to like every other rookie receiver, and they deal with what Ruggs and Brian Edwards had to deal with last year, and now all of a sudden Ruggs takes that next step?
Yeah, maybe. So I don't know. But I have no idea. But Ruggs is not draftable. He's not a draft at all.
Yeah, he's not. But if they don't add anyone, he's sneaky. Yeah, with Aguilar gone,
he could be one of those deep sleepers.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about so many really good players, and
we have to.
We've got to speed this up. But Michael Pittman is the next guy on this list.
You love Pittman.
I do love Pittman. Now they re-signed T.Y. Hilton. There's rumors that they might be in the wide receiver market in the draft. I don't know how true those rumors are, but
yeah, if they are, I think it's more honestly, of a long-term replacement for Hilton, because I don't think he's going to last much longer.
But Pittman had some really good games over the course of the season this year, and there was not really good games, but he had some decent weeks that were pretty good, and then he got hurt, I believe, for 5 weeks. So there was a stretch of games in the middle of the season against Tennessee and Green Bay where he had 19, 15 points, and so there wasn't enough target share for him really. Yeah. With Phillip Rivers not throwing it down the field pretty much ever, for him to have success. So he had 60 targets,
the
40
fact he
catches,
even had 7 deep targets surprises me.
But true catch rate, 87%, right up there with Jefferson and others.
Yep.
So he had some success in year one. I think there's reason to believe that he could be good. It really just depends on opportunity, I guess, going into 2021.
Yeah, and how good Carson Wentz becomes. I think he could be a really good sleeper. He's someone nobody really talks about.
Yeah.
If Carson Wentz is any better than Phillip Rivers was last year, then Michael Pittman's going to take that jump. But now Paris Campbell coming back. I think he was injured last year.
Mm-hmm.
and how many times are they going to throw the ball with those 3 running backs they have. So
right.
I don't know how great Michael Pittman's going to be just for this year, because I don't know how many targets he's going to get. He had 61 last year. He played in 13 games. So, I mean, let's say he plays a full 16, and maybe he gets 90 targets.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the hope. So it's like, I don't know.
It could go either way.
I think he's a flyer though. Late round, I would snag him, but I'm not going out of my way and redraft.
Okay.
I like him in Dynasty.
Yeah, definitely not a must draft. We'll probably talk about him as the offseason goes along. Claypool. Is Claypool a must draft, Rick? Please say yes, because I have him in so many Dynasty leagues.
In Dynasty, I like him, but is he a must draft? I don't know, because he had a monster breakout game, right? When he had that, what was it, a 30-point week? Did he have 4 touchdowns in one game?
42 fantasy points, 4 touchdowns.
Yep. After that week, he was good. Had another good stretch in there, but you know, he the expectation for him after that week was like huge, and then he was good, but he wasn't great. There's still Juju on that team. Mm-hmm. There's still Deontay Johnson on that team. Ben Roethlisberger is only getting older. They're probably going to draft a running back. They're going to try to run the ball this year more. Especially if they draft a running back. That was something I think Mike Tomlin said that they need to do better at, is just running the ball. Mm-hmm. Still, I mean, that's still very solid. I see you're prorating the stats.
I did it after the 4 touchdown game. It's rushing yards. I'm an idiot. What the frick was a 4 touchdown game?
I think it was a 3 touchdown game.
3 touchdown game. He probably had a rushing touchdown, which he did.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, I think he's still going to be good. But is he going to get overvalued because of the year he had, which was huge?
Good for you.
Usually think to that game. And he was good after that, but it was a big help. Is he going to get overvalued? Is he going to be one of those guys that gets flown up draft boards?
Yeah.
I hope not, because if he does, I'm not going out of my way to take Chase Claypool and redraft. I like him in Dynasty still, but
I think the thing is that the Steelers have been looking for the new Antonio Brown, the guy who can be the vert threat down the field and also play the slot and do everything, which I think Chase Claypool can do. He had 1,448 air yards, 9th overall in the NFL, so he was actually pretty good. When
vertical threat, absolutely. But with Deontay Johnson and Juju on the team,
that's what I was gonna say. Is that is a massive concern. Now, he did all the things that he did this year with those 2 guys in that offense.
Yep. And he still had 109 targets.
He still had 109 targets. What I was hoping for, freaking Juju, is that Juju would leave and that you would have Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson wide open. Now, the question for me is, who do you think Big Ben is going to like more, Chase Claypool or Deontay Johnson? Because he threw it to Deontay 150 times last year, and Deontay led the league in drops and had the highest drop rate. So
yeah.
Does he switch his focus now to Chase Claypool, where he's like, okay, I'm going to throw it to Chase because I like him. He's in his 2nd year. He's a good route runner. He can do things effectively, yada, yada, yada. And he goes to Chase Claypool instead, or is it like an even split 125, 125?
I don't think they just go away from Deontay Johnson, to be honest.
Okay.
Maybe it's a little less. So like he had 144. Claypool had 109. Sure, let's say Claypool gets up to like 120 and Deontay Johnson gets down to 130, but then it goes to the argument for me where the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger had 608 attempts. The team threw the ball 656 times last year. I don't think they do that again. I think
they do it every year.
I know. And they're still going to it's the Steelers, so they're going to still throw the ball a lot, but is it going to be 656? Are they going to bring that number down? I mean, they had 373 carries between the running backs. I think they want to get that number a little up. I don't think it's going to be drastic, but is it going to be a big enough difference where it affects Claypool? It affects Deontay Johnson. I mean, I don't know. There's just question marks for me.
I don't like. With Juju coming back, it definitely like puts a lid on what I think Claypool can do.
109 targets as a rookie, though, is very good.
Yeah, but that's the thing that makes me kind of think. Like, he was a rookie. He was still learning the offense. He earned target share post that game where he had those big numbers. Is when
5 rookies that had over 100 targets and one had 96.
First 3 games of the season, week 1, 2, and 3, when Deontay Johnson was getting 10, 11, 12 targets a game. He had 2 targets, 3 targets, 4 targets, and then he got 11 targets in that Week 5 matchup against Philadelphia, where he scored 3 touchdowns and had a rushing touchdown and had 110 receiving yards and did all that great stuff. The weeks following that, he had 4 and 1, and then he had 9, 13, 10, 8, 9, 4, 6, 8, 6, and 11 in terms of target share. And taking it from that game where he started to get past that crappy 4 targets or between 1 and 4 targets a game. Holy crap, pro football.
You were just yelling at me.
Dude? I know. Anyway, so he had 100 over the course of between weeks 8 and 17. He had 134 targets, 7 receptions, 864 yards, 8 touchdowns over the course of that stretch of games. So that's pretty good. I mean, it needs to be better in terms of catch rate. He only had 52% in that department, but he had an 80% catch rate overall in the season. So there's still some things that need to connect there. There's another stat on Player Profiler that says unrealized air yards, which is air yards that he didn't complete. He had 920 those, not 21 of those, which is 4th in the league. So he left a lot on the field in terms of. I'm kind of curious where Jerry Judy was on that, but anyway. So he left a lot on the field in terms of yardage, and he did not with touchdowns. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, but I think. This is what I'm saying, though, is that even if you take that 4 touchdown game out of the conversation, his total touchdowns would have been 7. Is that right?
Yep.
Or is it 8?
No, he had 11 touchdowns this year, so yeah, he would have had.
So it would have been 7 touchdowns for him total on the year, and that's still really good for a rookie.
Yep.
And he had a 15% touchdown rate. So I think for me, like if he continues to get the target share in the red zone, he'll do pretty well this year. It's a matter of if that happens.
Yeah. Where is he going in?
Let me pull it up. I was
looking
looking and then I zoinked. Is he a must draft? That
he's gonna be higher than that. I think.
I could Google
maybe
it.
Not.
Hold on. Where I'm in the
you got it.
Oh, Michael Pittman, 1008. I was trying to find him earlier. Would you draft him at 1008, Michael Pittman?
I'd take a flyer at him.
Claypool is 609, pick 69. So yeah, he's hyped up. I would actually with T. Higgins or Michael Pittman. I mean, T. Higgins or Chase Claypool. I'm sorry.
Well, we're gonna talk about T. Higgins
next.
No.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah,
I would say no at that spot.
Yeah, that's a little high. We'll see. I think that when people start drafting, there's going to be a mass exodus on some players, and we'll see if that ends up being. The big thing is, does Juju affect his value in August? And that is a real question, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
He's going to be, 6th round's not too bad.
Must draft, yes or no?
I'm going to say no, but it's close. It is close. I'm going
to say no. I'm going to say no, but I still think he's draftable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course,
So I'm just going to go through some of these other guys. I wish we could spend more time on them, but some of there's the guys that we want to talk about, so I'm just going to throw out some other guys. Jalen Reagor, obviously no. And then I'd say Gabe Davis, you like him, but I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no too, but sneaky
There's
guy.
A value sleeper.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Darnell Mooney I really liked, and then they brought back my other guy that I really like.
And then they also signed Andy Dalton.
You know, I freaking hate the Bears. There are these teams that I always like. Dallas. I'm now a Dallas Cowboys fan because I had so many Cowboys over the course of my freaking fantasy career.
Yeah, you've been watching Cowboys games for
now I'm just a Cowboys fan.
10 years.
And now for the Bears, they got David Montgomery, one of my favorite running backs. They got freaking Darnell Mooney, and they have Allen Robinson, and they have all the good things, and they don't have a quarterback to throw them the football.
That's been a Bears problem for like 50 years, though.
I did like Darnell Mooney, but at this point, I don't think he has any real value in fantasy this year in terms of draftable value. I mean, 13th, 14th, 15th round, would you take him? No.
Yeah, maybe. Not with Andy Dalton.
Van Jefferson is interesting. They still have the other 2 clowns there, right?
Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, yes.
Yeah, okay. So Van Jefferson is the third guy in the offense. He is interesting.
Matt Stafford.
If Stafford is there and they go back to throwing the football a lot, like a couple
really
years
ago, play the
Brandon
Cooks role.
He could play Brandon Cooks' role, and that could boost his production.
Yeah, he's probably going undrafted too.
Yeah, so he's a guy to keep an eye on. Just watch as the course of the offseason goes on. They also brought in, I believe that Rams team brought in a tight end, which I was really excited about.
I know they let Everett go.
Everett went to Seattle, so I like that. I don't know if they brought a tight end in, but we'll see.
I don't think so.
We'll see if their plans change. Devin Duvernay? No.
No, gosh, no.
KJ Hamler, you were talking about. Do you like him? I would say we were already concerned with Jerry Judy with the situation.
Exactly, yeah. Not a bad player, but just not fancy.
Quickly, there are 4 guys here that we're going to talk about. Mims, Ayuk, Chenault, Higgins.
Okay.
Denzel Mims with Zach Wilson. You now like Denzel Mims.
I never disliked him, bro. He's always been.
Explain yourself.
I want you to pull up his player profile for me.
It's spinning.
Okay, so
concussion
from just watching games
so
again. Watch. Too. So first of all, look at his metrics: 6'3", 207, and he ran a 4.38. Ridiculous. His metrics are ridiculous. Last year he was injured to start the season.
Yeah.
And when he came in, he played with a little bit with Sam Darnold and a lot of Joe Flacco. So
Joe Flacco.
I don't really give him the chance. So statistically, I don't know what it's going to look like. I know he didn't have a touchdown.
45 targets, 23 receptions, 634 air yards. Kind of very similar to Ruggs.
Yeah. He did play less games.
51% catch rate, 88.5 true catch rate.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So, yeah, that was pretty good. Catchable target rate, 57. He only had 26 catchable targets out of his 45 targets, and his target quality rating, 3.9, ranked 104 in the NFL. So he had a
disgusting, right?
Garbage quarterback.
Right. And when you watch him play, though, he's exactly what he looks like with the metrics. He's explosive, he's big, and he looks like he could be a star receiver. Not saying he is. I'm saying he has that
gonna hate.
Natural talent, though, right? Whether he can put it together or not, Corey Davis. That's a different argument. With Zach Wilson, I do like him. I don't know how good fantasy he's going to be, though, especially for this year. They have Corey Davis in there.
Well, I think you look at Joe Burrow, for example, and he made T. Higgins look good.
Are you saying Denzel Mims is going to be?
I'm saying that there's a chance.
Okay.
If they
join the train, bro, come on.
If they
yeah. I like Mims. I do. I just don't know how.
I got a question. If the Raiders give Ruggs the target share, okay, and then Denzel Mims gets the target share from Zach Wilson, who has the better target quality next year in 2021? Raiders with Ruggs or Denzel Mims with Zach Wilson?
It might be Mims because Ruggs' target quality will be a lot of downfield throws, while Mims could be all over the field, but at the same time...
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Wilson
likes to chuck it.
Yeah, he does. So there might be some bad throws to Mims too. I don't know, man.
I found Henry Ruggs, 10th round.
Yeah, no thanks. That's just too high for me.
Okay,
after you said. Where's Mims, though?
I saw him a second ago. He's here. 1304. I actually like that better than Ruggs, to be honest with you.
I agree.
You got me. I'm on board. I'm on board the Ruggs train.
The Mims, bro.
Sorry, the Mims train.
I'll join the Ruggs train. You join the Mims train.
Hey, all in. Anyway, the question is target share. I also think there's a real question of whether or not the Jets do draft a wide receiver, and that could happen. Sure. I don't know that it will.
Let's assume they don't. Is he then? See, I think Corey Davis.
I think you look at this list, right? Okay, so we have CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, tier 1.
Can he be the A.J. Brown of the offense for Corey Davis?
Yeah, right. I keep forgetting they signed Corey Davis.
Yeah, they have Corey Davis.
Anyway, quickly. CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, tier 1.
Okay.
And then I think Pittman, Claypool, probably like a tier... Ayuk and Higgins, probably a tier 2.
I would put...
And then Judy, Ruggs, Mims, Rieger, Gabe Davis... Some of those guys, maybe Van Jefferson in that other tier.
Yeah, I would rank it. Jefferson, Lamb.
That's in no particular order, so don't be hating on me.
Not in any particular order, but Jefferson, Lamb, definitely for me. I would actually put Ayuk 3, I think.
Okay, tier 1 or 2. I was just making tiers.
He's fine. He's tier 2, but he's like top of tier 2 for me. Then in that Ayuk tier, I think Higgins.
Yeah.
Maybe even Chenault. Claypool.
Fair enough.
And then, and maybe Pittman, but to me, he's close to bot.
Denzel Mims, though, must draft. We got to move on.
Yeah, for 13th round, Yes. If he goes any higher, I don't know.
Yeah, I did. I
just
forgot,
at that spot.
I
love that
about.
spot.
I forgot about Corey Davis, and they still got Jamison Crowder, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a good chance he could be the third guy. So maybe I'm walking away
Crowder.
from it.
Crowder is like
I know
who I love, but he's kind of.
He also got me on the.
Looks like he's on the back nine.
So the question is, does the offensive coordinator from the 49ers that or the
uses him
quarterback
like Debo?
coach? No. I'm saying. Well, they could use him like Debo or Ayuk, but I mean in the context to does the new offensive coordinator for the Jets ease Zach Wilson in so that he doesn't like chuck it?
Who
if
do
that's
they
the
have
case, Jamison Crowder could actually be real good in the slot.
Yeah.
It's just more easy. Like, do they line up Zach Wilson for some easier throws? And if that's the case, that might hurt Denzel Mims to start. He played, according to Player Profiler, he played 87 slot snaps, which is 20% of his total routes run.
He plays on the outside.
He plays mostly on the outside. So anyway, I'm on the edge with Mims. I think he's a good sleeper if he's there.
Yeah, he's a good sleeper.
There aren't guys there that I like. I'll take him. Ayuk is another. So many really good wide receivers, and I just don't know what to do about it. Brandon Ayuk is another interesting guy. He had some really good games, and Rick was all over Ayuk.
I was
for a good chunk of the season, but I remember talking. He was hyping up his really bad fantasy team in our home league by telling me that Ayuk was like his second receiver, and he was excited. I'm like, dude, you suck. I didn't make the playoffs either, so I got nothing. But he got from week 8 to 15, he got a target share of a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. Through that time, he had 198 targets.
Yep.
198 targets. He was pacing out for 198 targets, 125 receptions, 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns. Now, that is wide receiver 1 status. Okay.
He had like an 8. It felt like a 7 to 8 week stretch where he was like consistently getting like 17 fantasy points.
Yeah, so
with a backup quarterback.
Ayuk was through weeks 8 to 14 in half PPR. Ayuk was the wide receiver. Where the crap is he? I feel like he would be much higher than that. Oh, he's wide receiver 21 over that stretch.
He played in 4 games. Go back to that.
Oh, wait, he was wide receiver 21
in 5 games.
Oh, my Atlanta. Okay.
He's averaging 17 points per game. Average.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So his average was 17 points per game. So he was over the course of week 8 to 15. He was the wide receiver 17, but he only played in 5 games. He was averaging 17 points per game, which
that's what I'm saying. He was getting
third
consistently
highest total in front of DK Fake Calf.
Okay.
As the wide receiver 3.
Shade thrown. No reason.
But anyway, he's really good, and the question is, does the Mac attack come to the 49ers throw it to Brandon Ayuk? I got so many nicknames lined up for Mac Jones. It's unreal. You're gonna find out. You're gonna find all of them out over the course of the season.
It's gonna be like,
dude, I hope he comes in the NFL. He just shreds it. So I can just laugh at you all year.
I mean, hey, if he goes to the 49ers and shreds it, I'm not going to be mad because I have Debo and Ayuk in like most of my leagues.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I'm going to have to root for Mac Jones.
Who was quarterback over that stretch of games? Was that
it was Nick Mullins.
Nick Mullins? Okay. So like I said, Jimmy G's probably going to start next year. We'll, that's safe to say. And over the course of games where Ayuk was the wide receiver and Jimmy G was the starting quarterback, there wasn't a lot of target share there for Ayuk.
They did kind of ease him in.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of variables that you could throw at this. Ayuk could be insanely good. Ayuk could be not so good. We'll have to see. I mean, it gets you excited when you look at this pace of play over the end of the season. I'll even throw in that last game where he had 2 targets. Did he get hurt in that game against Arizona?
He did.
Okay, so I won't include that. But even if we back it up to the game against New England and try to soften it a little bit, it's week 7 through 15. He had 184 targets paced out to a per 16, I think extrapolated to a full 16 game season.
He had 2 rushing touchdowns this year too.
Excuse me.
They use him in end arounds and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put that as a part of his game, but
well, no, but they like to get him the ball.
It adds a little bit in there. So I think he has upside.
Yeah.
To be really good. I'm gonna find his ADP.
I would rather have Brandon Ayuk than Chase Claypool, I think, in redraft.
Wow. Okay.
I mean,
think
look,
the quarterback situation scares the hell out of me. That
does
I will
scare
say
me.
that.
You that's a valid point.
Like whether it's Mac Jones or Jimmy G, it doesn't really matter. They don't have a quarterback. So, like, I mean, they have a quarterback. Either one is going to be serviceable for him, but do they feel comfortable targeting Ayuk? In the San Francisco offense, we did the same thing last year with Debo. We did the same thing for Dante Pettis the year before. So how many years in a row?
Dante Pettis, I don't think ever had it.
I know, but like how many years in a row are we going to go, okay, this San Francisco rookie wide receiver looks really freaking good, and then he just poops all over the parade?
I mean, that's fair, but last year...
And I like Ayuk. I really do. I think that makes me sweaty.
You compare him to Claypool.
602 is his draft pick.
Ugh, yeah. Why does him and Claypool have to be so high?
Because they had good
I don't think he's must draft at 602.
See, you take Justin Jefferson away and maybe CeeDee Lamb. Well, I'm going to keep CeeDee Lamb. Take Justin Jefferson away in his ridiculous rookie season. There's so many guys that had good rookie seasons this year.
I know. It was a stacked class. I mean, and this year
they're all wide receiver twos.
We might see something similar this year. Maybe no Justin Jeffersons, but we might get a couple like Claypools and Higgins.
But anyway, do you like Ayuk as a must draft?
I don't. After all that being said, not in the top of the 6th round. I just don't. I don't know.
Oh, this is a lengthy one. I'm sorry, guys. So Levisque Chanel is the next guy. I will say Ayuk right now. I'm gonna decide. Can I get a rain check on this decision, or do I need to say it right now?
You gotta say it right now, bro.
Okay. Must draft.
Okay.
I'll throw it out there. So Levisque Chanel was an intriguing prospect. He has a player comp to AJ Brown, a player profiler. Okay.
Oh. I
like that a lot. I really like Levisque Chanel coming into this year, and I like DJ Chark, and I think it's because Trevor Lawrence is coming to town, and he's gonna throw. He might not throw the football a lot, but he'll probably. Well, we'll see. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the frick they're gonna do with Trevor Lawrence, but I think it's a good thing for Chanel, and I think it's a good thing for Chark. Now, last year, he had 79 targets, 518 air yards, 58 receptions. His catchable target rate was 82%. His catch rate was 73%. And his true catch rate was 89%, which is 26th in the NFL. He had 5 touchdowns through the air, I believe. And he had 10 red zone targets, which is actually pretty good, too. Big thing for him was he has all of the analytics to show you that besides the yards per reception, I think that was just them trying to not do too much. But he has all the, production metrics to show you that he can be a top receiver in fantasy football. 6'1", 227. I really like this guy. But he had 1.99 fantasy points per target, which I haven't brought up in the show, but that 2 is where you want to be.
I can't tell if he's going to be a superstar wide receiver or if he's going to be Cordell Patterson.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do like Chanel, though.
Right in the middle.
Are the Jaguars going to draft a receiver? I've seen a lot of mock drafts. They have 4 picks in the first 50. Something like that. I think they have 2 seconds and 2 thirds.
Chanel is 909.
Oh, I like that. See, this is the difference. I like Ayuk and Claypool more than Chanel, but at the 909 versus the 603 or whatever it is, I will take Chanel all day. And he's going to get an upgrade at quarterback with Trevor Lawrence. If they draft someone, we'll come back to this because this is assuming they don't draft the wide receiver right. I think Chanel will be probably the number 2 guy on that offense with Trevor Lawrence. Must draft.
Yeah. And then T. Higgins, we'll just say it quickly. Do you think he's a must draft next year? Yes, I think he's a must draft.
Yes, although if they draft Jamar Chase, it's gonna
affect it. It's gonna change it. And I'm gonna say they would be smart to take the offensive lineman.
If they take an offensive lineman, though, he could be the wide receiver 3 among this list.
Unfortunately, we have to conclude the show and not spend more time on T. Higgins. But we got a whole offseason to talk about T. Higgins. We got a rookie mock on Thursday. Don't miss it. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. It's got real people in it, so check it out.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.